Welcome, this is part 5 of the Tkinter Christmas card series. In part 5 what we're going to do is we're going to start coding the drawing of vector graphics onto the canvas. And we're going to draw a Christmas tree shape in this video. The first thing we need to do is we need to design it and identify what the coordinates are going to be before we go ahead and start to program it. It will make it a lot easier. We need to work out the coordinates. So to help us do that, we need to design it using something very similar to a wireframe design, where you're starting with the size to scale and you're going to annotate onto it the design. So to help us with this, we need a midline. We need to identify the midline. Now we know that the coordinate of the top left here is 0, 0, and because the dimension of the card is 500 character widths, we're calling them pixels, but in actual fact Tkinter measure units in character width. So we've got 500 wide and 700 tall. So x coordinate is horizontal, y coordinate is vertical. So that means this is 0, 0. And down here, the last, I'm calling it pixels, just for ease, will be 500 by 700. So let's put that in onto our diagram. So I'm just going to put the coordinates in of 0, 0 at the top, and down here at the bottom, I'm going to put in the coordinate 500 by 700, just so that we can work that out. Now to help me, I'm also going to put a midline onto this, a rough midline, just a dotted line, and I should be able to work out that that means that this midline is x coordinate 250, which is half of 500. I'm also going to half the page vertically, and that will give me my 350 line. So that means that in here, this actual coordinate would be where where these two lines cross. This is a vertex, and this would be 250 by 350. That would be the coordinates there. Now I'm not going to leave that on there because it will annoy us, but as long as you know that, that's what's happening. Now I want the Christmas tree to be roughly here, so let me just put that in here. So I want the kind of bucket to be here, the tree trunk to be there, and the 3 triangles to roughly look like that. Okay, so that's very rough because I am not an artist. But roughly that's what we're trying to achieve. So we're drawing 3 polygon shapes which are triangular in shape, which help us because a tree is basically that, with a wee rectangle tree trunk and a wee rectangle for the base. We've got 5 instructions in total to instruct into Python when we get there, but before we get there we need to work out what the actual coordinates are going to be. So over here at the side, I'll just move that there. Over here at the side, I'm going to draw out the shape. So we'll start off with that, and then I'm going to change to just a different colour so that it's easy to work out what the vertices are. And I'll do black for the last one. Roughly, that's where we're coming from. So we've got a vertex here, a vertex here, a vertex here. And for the green, the middle tier, we've got a vertex there, there, and there. So where I'm putting these circles and I'm saying the word vertex, that is where the coordinates will be registered. And it's where 2 lines meet in a shape. The tree trunk will be down here, and the vertex is there and there. That's pretty thick, that one. And then the wee base as a rectangle, so there's a vertex at the top left and bottom right. So we want to write these coordinates in. I'm going to continue with the colour coding for this and roughly put them in. So I'm saying up here, this one will be 340, 500, between 250 and 500 would be roughly 375, and it's just off that midline. So I'm saying that down here, this line here is 340, and that's going down the midline of the tree. So this vertex will start at 340, so will this one, and so will this one, because they are going down the midline of the tree. The height of this first one I'm going to say is 230, because this is 0 and this is 350, but this is up here somewhere up there, so we're going to start that off at 230. Over here in this side we're going to say this is 290 by 310, and over here in this side we're going to say 390 by, now if I wanted it to be exactly horizontal I would say 310, but I want to add a bit of naturalness to it, because you don't get absolutely horizontal trees. I've never seen them. There's always a wee natural aspect to them, so I'm just going to offset it by 5. Right, change to my green. Let's do this one. This would be 340 by 290, because it's still on that midline, so it's definitely going to be 340 pixels on the X. And I'm saying that the height of it is 290, because this bottom line is 315, but that's further up, so it's 290. Over here we'll say 260 by 400, and over here we'll say by 405, because again a wee bit of jauntiness, and we'll say 430 there for that, because let's see, so if the midline is 340 and that's 90 over, because I've not really drawn it right, but this should be wider, so 390 there, so that's an extra 40 pixels, so that's fair enough. Now let's change the colour and do this one. So again it starts off on the midline, so that's 340 on the X and 350 on the Y, the height. Over here, because this is actually wider, that will be 230 by what would we want, 510, because it came down quite a bit because it's the biggest branch. And over here we'll say 460 by 515. Okay, now we're ready to do the tree trunk. Now the midline of the tree trunk is 340, as we know, so we're evenly on either side of it, because we need the tree trunk to be in the middle of the tree, otherwise the tree will fall over. So let's put in a coordinate. Now I'm going to change my pen colour to purple for this, because that was a crazy colour there. So we'll say that this coordinate here is 325, and the reason that we're saying 325 is because it's just, what would that be, 340, 15 less than the midline, 325, and the height is 510, the same as this height here, because that is the line, so 510. And over here, this one, we're saying it's 15 past 340, so that's 355 and 340 for the height. Let's change the colour of that again to something blue. Now down here, for this one, we'll say this coordinate is 300. by 540, and because that was 540, and this one here, we'll say the coordinate of that is 380 by 600. So we just need to go and test this out and see if we can get it to work. So we're within the 700 because the tree comes down to 600, so we've got 100 left here, and we don't go over 500 for any of the coordinates, so the tree branches are not going to fall off the side of the graphic. Good, I'm happy with that. Right, let's deal with version control first. So this is version 5, so we want to go File, Save As, and change this to version 5. Which means we have not overwritten any of our previous code that's working, and any new code that we add in today is on its own file and won't interfere with what's safely working from before. So we'll change that to version 5 notes, and we're not really going to be adding an external GIF today. What we're going to do is draw a vector graphic Christmas tree onto the canvas using the canvas.create polygon method. The parameters that are passed in to the method are the coordinates of the 3 vertices and the fill colour. That's all we're going to be doing to it. We're not putting a stroke colour on it, just a fill colour. Okay, so we're not changing our version 1 code, that's perfect. We're not changing version 2 code, that was the one where we put the icon file onto the title bar. We're not changing version 3 code where we created the canvas with the nice green background and border. But what we are going to do is, this is no longer new code for version 4, it's just code for version 4. And that was putting in the background image. So we're going to come to the end of that code, hit enter a couple of times. We'll put a comment in for this new code. So let's say new code for version 5. And what is this new code going to focus on? It's going to draw a vector to our graphic Christmas tree onto the canvas. That's the plan. So we've got 5 lines of code, and the 5 lines of code are going to instruct Python to create 3 polygon shapes for which are triangles, and then 2 polygon shapes which are rectangles using the create rectangle. So let's get the first one in. So let's put in some lines so you can see what I'm doing here. So this is new code for version 5. We'll start on line 49 and we'll say canvas. Now this word canvas that you're seeing here, this is the variable. If I just nip back up here, you'll see that on line 33 we created a canvas object and we assigned it to this canvas variable. So this is the variable that I'm referring to, and it represents the canvas object. So canvas dot create underscore polygon and brackets. That's us calling this method into action when we put those brackets on. And we're going to provide the coordinates which we worked out on our design earlier. So 340 is the first x coordinate by 230. Then I'm going to leave a space there to separate these coordinates out. 290 is the next vertex x coordinate by 310. Then 390 by 315. And we'll put a fill in, and we'll use the variable Christmas green that we created earlier. Let's go up and look and see what I'm talking about. Up here, when we were creating the canvas, we declared on line 31 here a variable called Christmas green, and we assigned to it the hexadecimal colour code for Christmas green. So we can reuse that, and that's one of the advantages of variables, setting variables for colour codes. You can reuse them without having to remember the hexadecimal code, and it's easier to read because we know that this Christmas green, what Christmas green is. Right, now I'm going to copy that, just highlight it, Control C, and then hit enter at the end, and Control V to paste it in. And I'm just going to change the coordinates for the second one, so it's 340 by 290, then 260 by 400, and then 430 by 405. So 430 by 405. Now you might be saying to yourself, but that's 400, so this should be 400. We're just putting it offset slightly, so I'm quite happy with that. Now I'm going to hit enter again and Control V, because I've still got that first copy in my clipboard, and the third coordinates are 340 by 350. And the next coordinates are 230 by 510. And the third set of coordinates for the third vertex is 460 by 515, just one more than that. So that should give us our 3 triangles, which make up the Christmas tree shape. And next what we're going to do is code for the tree trunk. So we'll just put tree trunk in there so that we know that's what we're doing. And this time it's canvas dot create. It's not a polygon. You could use a polygon, but that would be more work because you'd have to put four vertices in. Create rectangle is the one that we want to use for this. So we only need 2 vertices and a fill colour. So we're saying 325 by 510. And the next set of coordinates are 355, and the Y is 540. And the fill, and we're just going to put in brown. Now because it's not been stored in a variable, we need to use speech marks for this brown colour. Right, last thing, which is going to be the tree base, which is in this case a yellow bucket. Right, now I can copy that this time because it's the same method. I'll pop it in there, and all I need to do is change my coordinates. So this time it's 300 by 540 and 380 by 600. And the fill colour is yellow. Okay, let's save it and run it. And if all's went well, we should have a Christmas tree vector graphic drawn on our Christmas card. And I'm really happy with that. I think it looks great. I love the fact that it's slightly off the straight, giving it that a more natural feel to it. I like the proportion of it. I like where it's positioned because it will allow us room to put Christmas presents underneath it. Excellent. Good. Now in the next video, what we'll do is we'll add lights to this Christmas tree and a star on the top. but we'll do that in the next lesson. Good.